We must act to protect nature, and we must do it now. Companies have an incredible role to play in really scaling the finance and the support that's needed to meet our 2030 goal of halting deforestation and meeting our 2050 goal of net zero. My name is Breanna Lujan, and I'm a Senior Manager for Natural Climate Solutions at Environmental Defense Fund. If we don't stop and reverse our impacts on forests and land by 2030, we're just not going to meet our net zero goals by 2050. And tropical forests and protecting them at large scales are one of the most impactful solutions that we have right now. Carbon markets are most easily thought of as a tool in the toolbox. And it's really critical for companies to navigate the carbon market landscape because carbon markets are one of the most cost-effective tools that we have right now to really scale finance and support for nature. We need to roughly triple the amount of private sector finance for nature in order to really utilize its potential in mitigating climate change. The voluntary carbon market can provide an immediate tool that's really cost-effective that is available to companies now. A company should definitely focus on decarbonizing their own efforts. But at the same time, companies really need to think about how to reduce emissions across the economy, thinking about outside their supply chains. And purchasing high-quality tropical forest carbon credits is one way to do that. When companies purchase these credits, they're not only helping advance their climate goals, but they're also helping advance the conservation of tropical forests at really large scales. When purchasing high-quality tropical forest carbon credits, companies should keep two things in mind. The first is that they should rapidly shift demand towards credits from large-scale programs, so think country level or state level. The second is that companies should also consider prioritizing purchasing credits from programs that prioritize reducing emissions in the near term. So not all carbon credits are high integrity. The good news is that EDF has developed the Tropical Forest Credit Integrity Guide, or the TFCI. And this is a resource that was developed to really clarify for companies what high-quality tropical forest carbon credits look like to help inform their decision-making. If a company is interested in joining forces with other companies to really scale impact, they might consider joining the LEAF Coalition. LEAF stands for Lowering Emissions by Accelerating Forest Finance. And the way that it works is that tropical forest countries who have reduced deforestation emissions and have complied with a high integrity carbon standard can sell those credits to interested governments like Norway or companies like Amazon to generate revenues that they can then reinvest back into their efforts to conserve forests. High-integrity carbon markets that meet fundamental thresholds of social and environmental integrity can provide really integral sources of finance for local communities and sustainable livelihoods. Indigenous peoples in the Amazon rainforest, for example, are known as the guardians of the forest. In fact, indigenous lands contain around 80% of the world's biodiversity, and a quarter of that is managed directly by indigenous people. So when companies purchase high-quality tropical forest carbon credits, the revenues from those purchases can help support and continue supporting these indigenous peoples who are at the heart of keeping forests standing. We can't reach net zero goals without nature, full stop. Through purchasing these credits, companies can not only help advance their climate goals, but also contribute to achieving the system-wide transformation that we need in order to reach net zero.